Good morning, friends. Anne here, got my cup of coffee, got the Word of God, and today's reading is Daniel chapter 1. So let me tell you what's happening in Daniel chapter 1. There's this evil king of Babylon named Nebuchadnezzar who had gone into Israel and Judah and had destroyed basically the whole nation, just eliminating as much as he could possibly eliminate about their culture. He took all of the really grand artifacts and all of the things that were culturally important to them and took them back to his place so that he could begin to use them and they would not have any cultural basis left. But the most important thing that he took was a whole generation of young men. He sent his leaders into Judah and said, take the best of the best and bring them here to me in exile so that I can turn them into Babylonians. Basically, he wanted to destroy the nations by eliminating this generation. And not only just killing them, but turning them into the thing that the nations hated. Turning them into idol worshipers, turning them into self-indulgent people, turning them into the evils of the Babylonian culture. So he sent his guys to take these men, and 4 of the men were Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Those were the 4 men that are mentioned in Daniel chapter 1. And basically what the king wanted was for them to even stop eating the meals and the food. You know, culture is kind of permeated by this appreciation of certain different kinds of food. But yet they were going to be taken away from even just the normal everyday foods that they would eat. And so the king wanted them to begin eating all of this lush and indulgent food and wine and all of these things. And Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, and Daniel said no. They asked the king's guard if they could refuse to eat that, if they could just have vegetables and water instead. Well, the king's guard was obviously upset because he said, look, if you look weak, if you look like you haven't been eating these things and you're not healthy, I will be the one who will be killed for this as treasonous. And so Daniel said, just give us 10 days. Give us 10 days and see if we are not better, looking better and smarter and wiser than all of the rest of these Hebrew men that are going to succumb to the will of the king. And so he did. He gave them 10 days. He gave them vegetables. He gave them water. He allowed them to continue on with this lifestyle, this eating lifestyle that they had been accustomed to. And it says this in verse 18. When the training period ordered by the king was completed, the chief of staff brought all the young men to King Nebuchadnezzar. The king talked with them, and no one impressed him as much as Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. So they entered the royal service. Whenever the king consulted them in any manner, requiring wisdom and balanced judgment, he found them 10 times more capable than any of the magicians and enchanters in his entire kingdom. Friends, the thing that stands out to me today is that Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego showed great self-control and discipline. And the thing that I think is important for us to realize is that discipline and self-control are powerful weapons against the lure of culture. Just as Nebuchadnezzar wanted to remake God's people in his own image, in Nebuchadnezzar's image, in the same way, our culture today wants to remake us, God's people, in its image. And friends, if we have discipline and self-control, those 2 things are powerful weapons against the lure of culture. So if you find yourselves being lured into situations that seem like they're going to gratify you and satisfy your desires and make you into something that is not what God has intended, use discipline and self-control. And just like Daniel, I know that you will find yourself blessed. Have a good day.